Hello and welcome to the Metapod Podcast, Pokemon TCG podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. I'm Jake, that's Sean. Before I talk about what I want to make a new segment on the podcast because I'm going to try this season to commit to play more Pokemon, right? At least attend a weekly locals, right, every week and playing more local cups and challenges. And we got the Vegas regional coming up, which I still don't know when signups are. So hopefully I don't miss that because that would suck. But I want to make this new segment that is things that Jake learned this past week in Pokemon. Because even though we talk about Pokemon every single week, when you don't play, you get rusty. And when you don't play, even if you look at the meta and you watch live streams and watch people play and stuff, there's still some things that, it's not the same experience as playing. So before I get into that, Sean, how was your week?
I mean, it was good. I not really too much going on my end, but
Mhm.
I just want to know now, Jake. I'm intrigued. What did Jake learn this week?
Okay, so I learned two things. One, Terra Pokemon cannot be bench sniped.
Yep.
I didn't, but I was facing a what was it? Flareon box. I was facing
Okay.
a Flareon box. I learned three things actually. I was facing a Flareon box and I wanted to snipe 200 on an EVEX with Screamtail.
Yep.
And I didn't do it, but I almost did. Thankfully there's like a Latias EX over there, which is 210 HP. And so
You had other
I
options. It's fine.
yeah, I put it there and it was still like pretty good. I could have KO'd the Latias with my Monkey Dory play, but that's neither here nor there. But anyways, that was the first thing that I learned. The second thing that I learned is I read Sylveon EX in that same match. I ended up winning, even though they bottom decked both of my Gardevoir EXs. Because at first I thought it was just bottom deck the active and bottom deck the bench.
Oh no.
Uh, and so when they bottom deck both benches, I was like, oh, it's like the dog meme where he's sitting in the room and everything's on fire. It's like
Yep.
this is fine, but I ended up winning anyways because I just reestablished a Gardevoir again. And I was able to use Mew EX to copy Flareon EX's attack to take my final two prizes. I had a lot of outs in the game. I did pretty well in that one outside of not knowing that. So I guess I learned four things. There's another thing in there with Sylveon EX is I found out that you can't use that attack in back-to-back turns because when I was reestablishing a Ralts, I put a Ralts in the active and one on the bench, and I was like,
I
"Yo,
got
they
you now.
can't, yeah, they can't get my Ralts. They can't get those. And so I can get a Gardevoir next turn because I had Candy Guardian hand for the next turn. But what I didn't think about was that if I had taken a knockout or something and their bench wasn't full, they could have water pawned both both things, but they didn't do it, and thank goodness. So learned a lot of things in that matchup specifically, but the final thing that I learned was in the mirror match. I had to go first because I lost the die roll, and I was in a pretty good spot because I was like, okay, I've got Secret Box in the hand, I've got Ultra Ball Candy, like I have a turn two Gardevoir play despite going first. Like there's no way. Um and I'm like, okay, even if they TM Evo, the Jellicent or the small jelly into Jellison, you know, that's fine because they're not going to have a Jellison in the active. And then they showed me what the small, I forget what the
Oh,
Frillish,
the Frillish. Yeah.
Frillish's first attack is,
Yeah.
where that is item lock. So I learned that Gardevoir has a turn one item lock play that's not Badoo. Uh,
Yep.
so that kind of hurt, even though I could have, and I held doing like the secret box play because I was like, there's no way they turn one item lock, right? Like they're not going to play Badoo in the mirror match.
Here's
Maybe
what
they will, but I don't think they should.
I think. Here's what I think. I think that you were probably right to not secret box even still. And here's my rationale. you couldn't attack, right? So even if you went and got TM Evo, you can't use it.
Yeah.
Um, you use your A spec for the game, and then Gardevoir also plays usually 4 Ionos.
Well, see, here's the
So you
thing.
don't want to get
I
Ionoed either, which would suck.
I had nothing but items in the hand. So I spent the next like 6 turns going draw pass.
Sure.
So with the hand, if I had known about the item lock, I
Mm,
would have probably done something,
yeah.
like played out some of the items, especially secret box, because then I would have been able to get a supporter at least. And even if they did Iono, I'm like, okay, I'm not sitting on a dead item lock hand potentially. I
Fair.
guess
You
I could
could
have
bait. If your
drawn
hand was
into
really bad,
one.
maybe you're like, I'm okay baiting the Iono.
My hand
And
was
then you're
really
like, okay.
bad if I got item locked. It was cracked if I didn't get item lock. I just should have
Yeah.
uh yeah, so those are the 2 things that I learned, or
That's
4 things. 4
no,
things that
that's
I learned
fair.
this week.
Maybe you do secret box if you do expect an item lock, and you secret box, and then instead of grabbing the candy, you just grab Earthen Vessel, Research, Artisan, and
Yeah.
like TM Evo, and you basically and then you use the Earthen Vessel immediately. You basically tell your opponent, "Hey, I'm gonna do stuff next turn anyways, so
Mhm.
either Iono me into something different or let me play." So you yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
'Cause the game was also, like, incredibly close, like,
Mm.
despite me because, like, I had a lot of monkey dories on the field. Because in the mirror match, you wanna establish a lot of monkey dories, I do know that, and so I basically had a lot of monkey dories on the field, so he's not, like, doing anything. I try to
Yeah,
like,
you're
we
just
get
moving
in
the
this
damage back
lock.
theoretically.
Yeah, like, even though I was item locked, it wasn't like he was taking prizes or anything like that for the full, like, first portion of the game. So I'm just waiting for my first, like, supporter of the game, just, like, draw passing, and it was actually really, really close, and I think if I had preemptively played the secret box, I would have won the match,
Yeah.
but, it's one of those things that you just learn.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's very good learnings. I will say some of those things are definitely things that like you can know them on paper, but when you experience it, like the fact that Terras don't take damage, the way that Sylveon works, because like, the first attack on Sylveon also has kind of a weird phrasing that like
Yeah.
it's like, oh, the defending Pokemon does 100 less damage, not the Sylveon takes 100 less damage. So like
Mhm.
if you switch it out, then you're fine hitting into it, right? So it's like weirdly phrased where like normally the effect goes on to the Pokemon that did the attack versus onto the defending Pokemon. So yeah, it's
Exactly. Yeah.
weird little things like that. But yeah, well, Jake, we're gonna learn a lot more today because
Oh.
this week we have Mega Evolution set review.
Yes, Mega Evolution pre-releases starting this weekend,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this weekend.
starting this weekend. For those of you that are doing it, we did talk about the pre-release promos that you're going to be able to get if you want to tune into that segment on the last episode. We'll obviously talk about them again, set review, just very briefly, probably more than likely. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit of fun.
Yeah. So I mean, Jake, are you ready? Are you buckled in?
I am buckled in. What card, Sean, do you want to talk about?
I mean, the only card that you can start with is the third card on this list, which is Mega Venusaur EX.
Mhm.
We've talked about this a bit. I've talked about this to my locals quite a bit. I think this is one of, in my opinion, the like sort of headliner decks archetypes, if you will, coming out in Mega Evolution. For those of you who don't know, though, it's a Mega Evolution, a Mega Venusaur, Stage 2. So again, if you're also not familiar with how Mega Evolutions work now, you don't have to evolve them on top of Venusaur. Just go straight on top of a regular Ivysaur. So
Yeah.
this Mega Venusaur EX, 380 HP Grass type. It has an ability though that makes this crazy. As often as you like, it's Solar Transfer. As often as you like during your turn, you can use this ability, move a basic grass from one of your Pokemon to another of your Pokemon. Can be from anywhere to anywhere. So that is very strong, especially if you combine it with things like the Teal Mask Ogerpon, where you can accelerate an energy a turn for each one of them. And all of that is to power up its first attack, its only attack, For 4 grass energy, I don't know. Is this the real name of the attack?
Jungle Dump. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think it is. Anyways, I don't know why I'm laughing. That's a funny name. Jungle Dump. So you can take a jungle dump on all your opponents. Um,
Yes.
you do 240 damage, and then you heal 30 from this Pokemon. Honestly, to me, like that being stapled on to the attack is a little silly. I'm sure it will occasionally be relevant, but Jake, how are you feeling about this Mega Venusaur?
380 is a lot of HP.
Yep.
And especially with the ability to move the grass energies from one Pokemon to another. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, but there's a trainer card later that will reference to where you're going to be able to heal all of it. So you better hope to one hit KO Mega Venusaur EX, whether that's weakness or just through uncapped damage potential like Goldango. But uh, this card, even I mean, I don't know if I want to sit here and say like this card is great. It's going to see a lot of play. But I do think there are some combos and some other fun stuff to where, like, especially at the local level, or like if you just love Mega Venusaur or want to pilot a rogue deck, like this could be a cool one to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could be wrong, but I think it's been getting some decent results in Japan, winning some leagues. Um, so I fully expect this to be one of the potentially stronger archetypes that comes out of the set. Um, and I think outside of like, because we have this, and Mega Pokemon, as a reminder to everybody, give up 3 prizes instead of 2. So also something to keep in mind. So it's a high risk, high reward. But most of the other Mega Pokemon in the set, I don't think are their own deck by themselves. I think that they're like
Mhm.
maybe like a once a game you do this thing because it gives up so many prizes. Mega Lucario is maybe the one exception. It's kind of a that one could be weird, but Mega Venusaur, I do think that like you're probably trying to run this with the thing that heals at every turn. You could maybe run this with Iron Hands because you can move the grass energy from one Pokemon to another. It doesn't matter. So theoretically, it's like a late game Iron Hands, but you could use this as like a late game Iron Hands as well. Um, I don't know. Like there could be some interesting ways to like partner Pokemon to pair this up with to help you get extra value. But I think this one more than any of the others could be like this is the main attacker for most of the game, and your goal is to
Yeah.
be a big tanky Pokemon, and then you just eat the loss to Ethan's Typhlosion. That's it. You just take that L.
Well, even like at the beginning of the game, like you put a hero's cape on this thing, and
Oh
the beginning
God.
of the game, they can't even knock it out. Now, eventually, they'll probably be able to knock it out, right? Because they do, what is it, 280
Yeah.
without weakness resistance. So they'll be able to one hit knock you out. But uh yeah, it's like it's a funny guy. He's a funny guy.
Jake, what is the next Pokemon on your list?
I feel like I want to skip a lot of these other grass Pokemon because I don't think they're really that good up until you get to Meganium from Mega Symphonia. We talked about this card a little bit, so I won't spend too much time on it, but it has the ability Wild Growth as a stage 260 HP Pokemon. Each basic grass energy attached to your Pokemon provides 2 grass energy. You cannot apply more than 1 Wild Growth ability at a time. So, kind of talking about Iron Hands, kind of talking about the Venusaur, right? Every grass energy, it's just grass energy attached to Pokemon provides 2 grass energies. So this Meganium for the Iron Hands specifically, you need 1 less energy in theory to be able to get that the hands play. What's that called? I'm
Yeah, I know.
blanking on it.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, or a 4 energy attack on Mega Venusaur EX to get that jungle dump off. You only need 2 to do it. So I can see Meganium having some play in a couple other decks, especially decks that really require a lot of energy to be able to get off attacks. It's a way to shorten up some of that stuff, especially when we have TM Evo in, especially when we have like Secret Box that can easily find stuff like rare candies and Arvins and things like that. So I really like Meganium. I think it's cool.
Yeah. I in my mind too, there's I don't know if it quite works, but like in theory, this could even work with something like a Rotom box deck, where it's if
Hmm.
you have a basic that you can put together every turn, and if you need two colorless to attack with it, well, you can play a primarily grass deck and then just attach one a turn instead. It's a lot of work to get there because it is a stage two, but I'll also point out this is going to be very good in GLC. So if you
Yeah.
are interested in grass decks in GLC, you have yet another amazing stage two support Pokemon to add to the list. Um,
I'm trying to look at Venusaur's HP, the one that they use in GLC. It is 160, so but Meganium has 2 less retreat costs, so it's probably a better Pokemon, because its attack also outputs more damage.
yeah, I mean, look, any newer Pokemon, to your point, they're going to probably have a little higher HP. They might do a little more damage. So I think
Yeah.
we'll see a lot more of this in GLC for decks that want to run the Meganium
Mhm.
line. Scrolling down here, Jake, I'll mention this Shiftry. I don't think it's good because it's a stage two for this attack, but I've always loved attacks like this. Its first attack is called Gale Return. Flip a coin if heads. Shuffle one of your opponent's Pokemon and all attached cards into their deck. I've always loved attacks like this. I wish it wasn't a coin flip because it's on a stage two already. So it's a little
I feel
annoying.
like I feel like Shiftery recently on a card had this as an attack or some sort of ability, but I can't remember what card that
There
was.
was an ability that turned all of your opponent's supporters into Hop.
Oh, I do remember that.
That was a fun one.
Yeah.
um,
That's Shiftery's always had some quirky, like, funny attacks, I feel
yeah.
like.
Um, but I just wanted to quickly mention that. What is
I
the.
wanna talk about the Ninjask real quick, the
Yes.
Ninjask and then skip to Shedinja,
Yep.
combo. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's a great combo, but I love this idea, as someone who played a little bit of Shedinja Control back in, like, 2019, 2020. The Ninjask is a stage 1 from Ninkata, 58 Ninkata being a 50 HP Pokemon, so it's easy for Buddy Buddy Poffin. But Ninjask, 80 HP grass type Pokemon with free retreat, has the ability Cast Off Shell. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may search your deck for a Shedinja and put it onto the bench. Shuffle your deck afterwards. Before we go to Shedinja, I'm going to talk about this attack real quick on the Ninjask. It's a grass and colorless attack called U-Turn, 90 damage. Switch to this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So, one of the cool one of the cool Pokemon that you can switch into is Shedinja. Has the ability Fragile Shell. It's a 60 HP free retreat Pokemon. If this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon EX, your opponent can't take any prize cards from it. So, pretty cool. I really like little silly combos like this. It's probably not going to be as good as the old Shed
Oh
Ninja
my
or
gosh.
yeah, Shed Ninja combo where, he attach himself as a tool card and then you take one less prize, but just a neat one overall.
Yeah, look, there might you could see maybe a world in which if they ever reprinted an easy way to and maybe they did. Not as an item though. Remember when Scoop Up Net was in format though? If you had
Yes.
that, you could probably between that and Super Rod, you could probably combo this 90 HP retreat thing over and over. So I would keep your eye on the space because 90 hit, not hitting for 90 is not really um is not really that good, but they could print something in the future that makes this a lot more viable, being able to like get
Mhm.
that evolve, bring a Shedinja out every turn. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I really like this. I agree with you. The old shit ninja decks were like so annoying to play against.
I will say
Um,
your hardest part's gonna be, getting the Shin Ninjas back in the deck, right? You're gonna have to run a lot of super rods, gonna have to,
mhm.
you know, do a lot of those things, but anyways, Sean, do you got any fire Pokemon you wanna talk about?
Oh man. I'm scrolling down. I mean, we'll mention the Mega Camerupt because it's another Mega, right? So
Yeah.
Mega Camerupt EX, the stage 1 Mega, 340 HP fire. Its first attack is Roasting Heat 80 plus. If your opponent's active is burned, it does 160 more. So I will mention that we do have a is it Volcanion? We have one EX in the format that can, when it's in the active, leave your opponent's Pokemon burned with an ability.
Yes, Volcanion, yeah.
So if you want to play the Mega Camera, definitely play the Volcanion EX as well, and use something like Latias or Air Balloon to retreat into this, and then you'll be able to do 240 plus the 20 from burn, so that's effectively 260, um, which is okay damage. It's a little awkward. 260 is like you're like, oh, that knocks out Goldengo, but Goldengo is already weak to fire, so it's fine. You don't need this. Um, but then the second attack, and that's only one fire though, which I'll also mention. Very, very cheap energy cost. Second attack for a fire and triple colorless, 280 damage, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. Um, it's all right. I mean, I would say overall this is kind of a very middling mega.
Yeah. It's a filler Mega,
Yeah.
I think.
But yeah, if you want to try something different, I guess here you go.
It's cool if your favorite Pokemon is Camerupt.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I will say with the Oricorio EX coming out, I
Yeah.
believe all of the fire megas that we have is this, and we have Charizard revealed. And this is only a stage 1. So in theory, if you wanted to run something in the future with that Oricorio, but not Charizard, this is an easier mega to get out onto the field early. So I just thought I'd mention that. You can actually, Jake, you can theoretically get this up turn 1 going second with Salvatore because it does not have an ability.
Oh, yeah. You could Salvatore, yes.
So just
Ah, that might not be terrible.
watch out for the Mega Camera Up Salvatore Burn Donk decks.
That's a mouthful to say.
Yep.
Anyways, let's talk about Cinderace. Cinderace is a callback to Talonflame from Steam Siege in the X and Y era. 160 HP, stage 2, fire type Pokemon, but has the ability Explosiveness. If this Pokemon is in your hand when you are setting up to play, you may put it face down as your active Pokemon. Does have free retreat as well. And let me tell you, Talonflame back in X and Y did see play in decks. Even well, it's attack Arrow Blitz, being able to just find 2 cards from your deck and put them in your hand. It's a little bit better than Flare Turbo on the Cinderace, in my opinion. Flare Turbo, a colorless attack, single colorless attack that does 50 damage. Search your deck for up to 3 basic energy cards, attach them to your bench Pokemon any way you like, then shuffle your deck. I could see this in decks, right? To be able to power up, honestly, stuff like Iron Hands.
Yeah.
This is basically in a Joltik deck. This is another option to be able to accelerate energies. And I think it accelerates more energies than Joltik. The thing about Joltik is
Mm.
that you could like nest ball for it and then switch it into the active.
This only
Um,
accelerates 3, and Joltik
oh, does
accelerates
Joltik
4.
accelerate 4? Oh,
Yeah,
never
2,
mind.
but
Forget
it
that. But it's
accelerates 2 lightning
another.
to 2 grass.
Yeah.
But it does 50 damage, right? And it's 160 HP. So it's not like a free prize for a Monkey Dory at whatever point in the game the opponent wants. So there is some
Yeah.
validity to that. So this is cool.
This is a good yeah, this is a good going second Pokemon and then being able to accelerate energies onto big Pokemon that need lots of energies.
Yeah, yeah. Especially like I would probably definitely run this with a big basics deck. Like you said,
Yeah.
Iron Hands. There's probably another couple of big basics out there that are fine with colorless energy. Honestly, you could even see something like this going into like a gouging fire deck. Trying to think of what else wants fire energy that's basic, right? So it's cool
Camera,
though.
or it's not. You
No,
could, I mean, you
you
could
could
like
do
power up
camera
your
up.
camera up
Yeah,
as it's a little numal,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Maybe.
So
It doesn't have to be the basic that needs it, but anyways, Sean, continuing on in here. I don't really want to talk about Senna Scorch or really Chi. I think Chi actually might be kind of interesting. I don't think it's that good, but I think the attack, we always talk about some of the unique cards that Pokemon makes, and I think this is a inclusion to the unique cards. Chi has a 1 energy fire attack called Scorched Earth, does 40 damage. If your opponent has a stadium in play, discard it. If you discarded a stadium in this way, during your opponent's next turn, they can't play any stadium cards from their hand. Two things that I think are interesting about this. One, it says if your opponent has a stadium in play. So based on what that sounds like to me is that if I put Artisan in play and I use Chiyu's effect and I use Chiyu's attack, it does not discard the stadium
correct.
because it's my stadium in play, not my opponent's stadium in play. And then at that point as well, if that is hypothetically my Artisan, my opponent could play
Yeah,
a stadium from their hand in the turn. So really interesting how this is worded, in my opinion.
I do think it's cool though because there are some decks that really care about their stadiums.
Hmm.
I think about any of the Area Zero decks, the ones that want to really fill their bench up. You can get rid of an Area
Absolutely.
Zero and say no more Area Zero next turn, which is a little annoying. Even against maybe some of the grass decks that might want that vitality stadium that we're talking about later. So it is.
Hmm.
I think you might see this one day as a tech card in certain decks. That's as far as I think I would take this. But like, you know, decks cards like Chen Pao and Pumpkaboo and other weird stadium Pokemon have existed, and this might make that list one day.
Exactly. You never know. Sean, moving into the water Pokemon. Anything you
Yeah.
want to talk about in here, real quick?
Um. I think I could just move straight to Mega Obama Snow, to be
Can I
honest.
one just so real quick talk
Yeah.
about the Kyogre? Just a
Yeah. The
brief
Kyogre
moment.
is it is kind of interesting.
A brief second, sir.
Yes.
Uh Kyogre 150 HP basic water Pokemon. I just only care about what its 1 energy attack, 20 times damage for Riptide, does 20 damage for each water energy in your discard pile, then shuffle those cards back to your deck. I just think this is going to be really funny when someone makes some sort of turbo discard water energies Kyogre and does like 400 damage. Like I think of like the 4 Kyogres and 36 water energies, maybe 35 because you want to add the what is it, Brilliant Blender
Yeah,
as the A spec
you throw
to
a Brilliant Blender
trash
in.
7.
I also think you run 4 research and 1 to 2 squawkabillies just to really get through your deck and some
Yeah.
nest balls.
Maybe you get some night stretchers in there
Hmm.
as well to just get your guy back. Maybe a
Yep.
free retreater of some sort, maybe like item locking Badoo,
Hey
right?
man, that would
But just
be
running
that'd be cool.
just running like a 25 energy deck is just so funny whenever I see it. So I hope someone does it.
I will say,
That's all I
Jake,
wanted to say.
I will. You brought this up, and I don't know if it works in this era of Pokemon anymore, or 20 times. But do you remember Victini Prism Star?
Yes. Yeah,
Victini Prism Star
I
was
toured Redcliffe,
literally,
top 4 at
yeah,
Worlds.
it was literally this attack, but for fire. And
Yeah.
that card was a one of. Granted, you could only play one of them, but that card was an amazing late game attacker to leave only a single prizer in the active. So, to your point, if we ever see a water box deck come up, we still haven't gotten the Mega Blastoise reveal. Who knows?
Yeah.
Like there's a world in which you could theoretically play this as a nice one of too. So right now, I think it's kind of lost, but
Yeah.
in the future. Um,
Anyways, off to Mega Obama Snow.
Yes, Mega Obama Snow, another stage 1 Mega, 350 HP, water type. Its first attack for 2 water energy, Avalanche Hammer. It does 100 times damage. Discard the top 6 of your deck and it does 100 for each basic water energy you discarded this way. That's wild. That's
I'm ready to run another 25 water energy deck with Mega Abomasnow EX. Get like maybe like a Baxcalibur in there in the deck and just accelerate onto Mega Abomasnow. Unfortunately, it is 2 water energy requirement for the attack, so Crispin won't really work
yeah, it's a little
unless you had the other water G in hand. Crispin could work, but
it is a little awkward to your point because it is a little bit like, oh man, like I have to play back Excalibur with this to like
mhm.
I mean, granted, if you actually are running this as your main attacker for the whole game, your opponent only needs to knock out 2 Pokemon to win. So I don't think that's gonna work. 350 is not beefy enough in my mind.
But
But
metal Pokemon don't really have a well,
Goldango?
Goldango. Never mind.
I mean,
Sorry.
hey, I will say, like, Goldango is a good deck, but the second that new Charizard comes out, I think it might not be as good of a deck.
Yeah.
But this is cool. Like, you can easily stack at least 3 water energy on top, easily. Cypher Maniacs plus the Academy at Night. That's 300 damage. You're just sticking right on top. I don't know. There might be a home for this card somewhere. I wish it wasn't. Honestly, I kind of wish that this wasn't a mega. I kind of wish this was just a regular EX because the fact that it gives up 3 prizes just kind of it's awkward. This one specifically, anyways.
Yeah.
Um, I'll mention this Clawitzer because I do think that this might be the partner that you need for something like Mega Abomasnow. It has an ability. It's a stage 1. But its ability, reverse and reload, once during your turn when this Pokemon moves from the active to the bench, you can use this ability and attach 2 basic water energy from your hand to this Pokemon. Now, its attack does 210 and you discard all energy from it. So I think the idea is that you're usually supposed to reload it to itself, but you could play something like this and E-switch to get the energy you need for things like Mega Abomasnow as well. So just wanted to mention that.
Feels complicated.
It's a little
Fantastic
complicated.
art though by Anesaki Dynamic. I love this art on the
Yeah.
Clawitzer.
Jake, what's next on your list?
We'll briefly mention the Inteleon, which is one of the pre-release promos that you could get. Just going to reiterate the first attack on this stage 250 HP water type Pokemon. Bring down. Choose a Pokemon in play, yours or your opponent's, that has the least HP remaining except for this Pokemon, and it is knocked out. I think this attack is just so interesting, and I feel like there's some sort of gimmick that you can do where you just play like some sort of deck that like spreads damage or Monkey Dory has to be involved in some form or fashion with this deck, but just being able to knock out any Pokemon as long as its HP is incredibly low, I think is just like it's so funny.
I mean, just run this with your Mega Wailord
Yeah.
so that you always have the biggest Pokemon on the field other than, granted, Mega Wailord hasn't been announced, so this is a bit of a joke. But yeah, you just make sure all your other Pokemon are enormous, and so your only option is your opponent's Pokemon.
What is the HP count of hypothetical Mega Wailord?
400 HP. We have not
400? You think it's just 400?
well, because like you think about like everybody likes big numbers, right? We've never had a 400 HP Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
We have Venusaur 380. So I'm like, okay,
That's
if you want
true.
to keep, what was the first Pokemon to ever reach 200 HP, Jake?
I think it was Wailord,
Correct.
actually.
What was the first Pokemon to ever reach 300 HP?
Was it? It was Magikarp and Wailord, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just saying, if we're going to hit 400, I think it's going to be a Wailord.
It'll be fun to see potentially in the future. That's all hypothetically, that is. But,
Yeah.
anyways, let's move on into the next Pokemon. So a
Looking through
lot of
the
like
electric.
underwhelming cards. Yeah.
Mega
In the
Manectric.
electric, like, yes.
Yeah. Mega Manectric has been getting good results as well. In Japan, I think a lot of people are excited about this. Yet another stage 1 Mega, 330 HP lightning type. First attack, 2 lightning, flash ray. 120 damage. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon. So this is like the answer to Joltik Box, Terra Box, all of your basic Pokemon decks. I think that's a really
Raging
strong
Bolt.
attack. Yeah, Raging Bolt. And 120 is like decent damage. It's not like you're going to sit here doing 30 for like a billion turns.
When you have Electric Generator in the deck, like this
Oh
attack,
yeah.
pretty manageable.
Yeah, and also you've got like electrics as well that you could theoretically use to like power them up. But
Mhm.
I think once you get this online against the right deck, like, you know, maybe there is like a new electric box deck that plays a 1/1 line of this or a 2/2 line. And then if you can get it online and you know what you're playing up against, then you could theoretically just tell your opponent, hey, you can knock out every other one of my Pokemon on the bench. I'm not going to give you 6 prizes there. And say, unless you've got a way to get through this Mega Manectric, you're just going to lose. And then they just auto lose
Mhm.
that matchup after. So, but the second attack for Triple Lightning, Riot Blaster, 200 plus. You may discard all energy from this Pokemon. If you do, it does 130 more. So, Exacxes on the stage 2 regular EXs out there, most of them.
Mhm.
So, how are you feeling about
And
this?
also in the mirror match.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You could
Yeah.
just, you know,
Exact math in the mirror match.
yeah, I think the mirror match would be awful with this because you're
I
just
think
like first person to get it out and you're feeling pretty good.
I think this Megan metric, as you're saying, is going to be viable and decent. I kind of think about like Iron Thorns as well in
Mm,
something like this, right? Being able to have not only like these kind of stall options, right? Where your opponent may not be able to do too much, and then also have this Mega Manectric here to be able to stall out some of the basic Pokemon. It's kind of like a counter deck in a sense, but you're like counter electric focused,
mm.
I would say, which I think could be pretty interesting overall. But I don't really know how. I'll be honest, I haven't seen like too many deck lists from the
The
mega
Japanese.
format in
Yeah.
Japan. So I don't know exactly how this deck list is built, but I do believe you in that. I see the vision with
Yeah.
like what you could do, especially because its attacks are pretty manageable and hit like some pretty decent numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And it
look,
has free retreat.
I really like your play of like pairing this with something like an Iron Thorns.
Mhm,
Because you could play this with Iron Thorns, maybe a Miraidon to help you set up quickly, and then yeah, just be really annoying. Like, hey, if I'm up against a heavy, like an evolution deck, but it has a lot of abilities like Gardevoir, I'm gonna go heavy Thorns. And then when they bring the Gardevoir out, you can still go with the Manectric to do 330 damage, right? Um,
mhm.
and if you're attacking with this Mega Manectric, with the first attack, you're basically forcing them to bring the Gardevoir into the active as their attacker, which is really interesting. So, Jake, what is next on your list?
I kind of briefly want to talk about Pachirisu for the GLC friends that we've got that listen to the podcast. 70 HP electric type basic Pokemon has a really funny attack called Electrified and Scissors. This could be a really good, like, going second attack, in my opinion. 10 damage, but during your opponent's next turn, whenever they attach an energy card from their hand to the defending Pokemon, place 8 damage counters on it. So I don't know. I mean, it stinks that it's only on the defending Pokemon. So is it really that good? I don't know, but could create some awkward situations for your opponent.
Yeah, if we had a way, if there's like a stadium, which I know there are some, or like a way to like make it so your opponent's retreat cost is more.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like the fact that Latias is in the format is also annoying though. So because once they retreat, then the effect goes away, which is the awkward bit, right? Like if they retreat, the 8
Yeah.
damage counters doesn't get placed, and you're like, oh god.
Yeah. So
But
probably not that great, but a cool little funny thing.
um, I'll briefly mention the Kadabra along with the Alakazam. The Abra is just, you know, whatever. The Kadabra, though, has the ability when you evolve it from your hand, you can draw 2. And the Alakazam is when you evolve it from your hand, you can draw 3. You can use as many of these abilities. Theoretically, if you evolve multiple in a turn, you can draw a bunch of cards. Um,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to mention that because I think that this deck, you could run a 4-4-4 line of this deck, and it would be crazy consistent. And that Alakazam attack is very strong, right? Like, if you found a way to pair this with something else to just sit in the active and be annoying to your opponent, maybe that's Jellicent. Um, to be honest, maybe that is Badoo. You might just run this with Badoo to slow your opponent down, so that you can just manually evolve up to Alakazam. Because I don't think you usually want to have to play Rare Candy. I think this could be a really interesting deck. So I just wanted to mention it. I think if you're looking for like a budget, probably rogue deck at your locals, I think this would be a fun one.
I'm trying to think. Don't we have a supporter or something that finds like multi? I know Brock Scouting finds either two basic Pokemon or one evolution Pokemon,
Mm-hmm.
but isn't there a supporter that grabs like multiple evolutions? Or
Jacques.
maybe like Pokemon. Oh, Jock. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's what it is. I mean, think about with like Jock, right? Finding two evolution Pokemon. If you had two Abras in play, that Jock is basically, or even like two Kadabras in play,
Yeah.
that Jock is potentially a draw six supporter.
Yeah.
Um, and like Kadabra, it's a draw four supporter, in a sense. So I agree with you. Like if you're looking for a budget deck, this is probably really, really cool. And a fun deck to play. Especially, when your hand gets super, super big. Like pre-release format, if there's a jock in those pre-release kits, man, it's
Oh
gonna
my
go
god.
crazy. Cause they don't put Iono in those
No.
in those kits.
I will
Maybe
say
they do
you
this time.
if there like we said, the Alakazam is one of the pre-release promos. I will say if you do get this in your kit, look at your kit. You're going to be very consistent, but be careful. You might deck yourself cuz
Yeah, it is much because you're only playing a 40 card deck.
yeah.
You might deck yourself out. So I would imagine you just try to play as minimal amount of cards as possible and just draw like crazy so you can one hit knockout stuff in 4 consecutive turns.
Jake, I'm actually looking at this Ralts.
Hmm.
70 HP. It has an attack for one colorless, collect, draw a card. I think this is an easy swap from the existing Ralts because it has a usable attack that just draws you a card. So like worst case scenario, it's in the active and you draw a card. Um, and then I actually think this Curlia is an easy swap from the existing Curlia. So if you are playing Gardevoir, these are two cards that unfortunately, as much as I love the alternate arts for the other ones, this
Hmm.
Curlia also has Call Sign. Search your deck for up to 3 Pokemon, reveal them, put them into your hand. That attack is just really strong. So if for
Yeah,
whatever
I mean,
reason, yeah,
it's one of those things that like you're probably never attacking with Curlia. Because like you just want to get into Gardevoir like as soon as possible, or Mega Gardevoir that we'll talk about here in a second. But like, as you're saying, like the attacks on the Ralts and the Curlia right now on the ones that we currently have in standard are just not that good. Like you're really losing if you're using those attacks. But
yeah,
at least when you use these attacks, even though they're probably not putting you in a better winning position in a sense, they only help your game plan.
yeah.
Being able to either draw an extra card to help find a piece or, find 3 Pokemon and really force an Iona or something like that.
I'll also say 100 HP for the Curlia. That's 10 more HP than the
Yeah.
regular, Curlia right now. So TM Devo, a little less scary, just a tiny bit. So
Mhm.
anywho, Jake, this is one of the big headliners. Give us a rundown, a reminder of what Mega Gardevoir does though.
Mega Gardevoir EX 360 HP Psychic type stage 2 that you can immediately evolve from a Curlia. I
Cool.
I hate what they've done to Megas this set. The Megas are cool, but the being able to get the Megas out, I think, is wild. Anyways, 2 1 energy psychic attacks. The first one, Overflowing Wishes. For each of your bench Pokemon, search for a basic psychic energy card and attach it to that Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. Kind of weird in the Gardevoir deck. Uh in what we know of right now, but synergizes really well with Mega Gardevoir EX's second attack, which is 50 times damage for each psychic energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So, if for some reason you can't find a regular Gardevoir EX in the game, you can still get those energies and accelerate them onto your Pokemon to be able to get this big giant attack if your Mega Gardevoir EX were to live in the following turn. So I like that these attacks kind of have good synergies with themselves, even though the Mega Gardevoir EX, well, the Mega Gardevoir EX kind of has pretty good synergy with the other Gardevoir EX.
Well, because
I definitely see this.
I was gonna say,
Sorry?
because like you think about this, right? And like with this Mega Gardevoir, you can effectively say, I have two attackers. I have this
Yeah.
Mega Gardevoir, and it is worth three prizes. So like, but you have this, and then you have something else that you can put a lot of the other energy onto to just hold it. And you can tell your opponent, hey, you knock out the Mega Gardevoir, I have another attacker ready to go. You knock out my Gardevoir EX regular, and you're leaving this and all of my energy on board. You knock out this, and I have all of my energy already on board. So it's like, it's a, I think this has a nice little checkmate combo for like
Mhm.
late game where it's like, in theory, if your opponent, is trying to stall you out, which it does happen. I do think it's cool for that reason.
And even though you would think like right now, Gardevoir is only playing probably about like 7 psychic energies, so that's a max of 350 damage. Don't forget about old Monkey Dory, right? To be able to move damage counters after you accelerate them with your regular Gardevoir EX, right? To stack up the damage somewhere. So the damage potential of Mega Gardevoir EX, I think, is very, very good. Maybe if you're not in like a one-hit KO kind of matchup
Hmm.
in a sense, like you're facing a deck that like Dragapult, honestly. Like this
Yeah.
is probably pretty good into Dragapult because it gives you another option to be able to just one hit knockout and throw something in the active that will probably not die. This is also really nice because Gardevoir EX dies to a Dusknoir Dragapult attack,
Hmm.
but Mega Gardevoir EX does not die to a Dusknoir Dragapult attack.
It's
So,
true.
very interesting to note there.
I'll also say, I think if we see Mega Venusaur seeing any success, this is going to be one of the fewer Pokemon in the format that can actually respond. Because, like we were
Mhm.
saying earlier, you have to one hit KO it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and right now, Gardevoir doesn't really have a way to get anywhere near 380. Like that's a crazy number, right? You can say, oh, we'll switch up and we'll play Drifloons with Bravery Charms or whatever. Like, yeah, you theoretically could do that, fine. But like in reality, I think this is a more consistent way to do that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Jake, what is next on your list? We're moving past the Shedinja that we've already covered.
I will say the Grumpig real quick, just because I think it has a cool ability called Energy Step. It's 120 HP stage 1. Once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may use this ability. Look at the top 4 cards, attach any number of basic energy cards you find there to your Pokemon in any way you'd like.
Cool.
It has cool synergy with the Mega Gardevoir EX, even though I don't think you should play it in Gardevoir. Um, but I think it's fun.
Well, the nice thing is
Just being
you
able to
attach them to
accelerate
any
energies.
Pokemon, so it doesn't have to be the
Yeah.
bench. So I'm thinking about like, we had Matang, which came out
Mhm.
for Archaludon and some of the other decks. But that was only Metal Energy and only to the bench. Or no, it was anywhere, right? Or was it to the
I
bench?
think it was anywhere.
Okay, but still, it was only Metal Energy. So this is just generically better than Matang. Um,
I don't know about that because Matang was like, once per turn, no matter
oh,
what.
true,
Like you
true,
could,
true. Yeah.
yeah, where this is like a once per turn when you evolve.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they kind of have, yeah, they have pros and cons to them.
That's fair. I will say, I feel like I remember some effect like this existing 5 or 6 years ago. There was like a
Mhm.
Pokemon that had a very similar, I don't know why it's in my brain, but my point is that Pokemon saw some play in very specific decks, in like niche decks that had weird energy retreat, costs, um, as a way to get that little extra bit of energy, especially if you're not necessarily playing a deck that you want to be playing Crispin every turn. I think that's also like the awkward part is like Crispin is like great card. 2 energy a turn, right? Like that's awesome. But as your supporter for a turn, it means you're not drawing cards, you're not searching your deck for other stuff. So it can be a little awkward. So I don't know. I
Exactly.
I imagine this will get play somewhere at some point. It's my gut.
I think this next card is going to see even more play, especially in Gardevoir. This Xerneas with 120 HP. I think this is also no. This is the card that's the Asia promo
Oh
that we
yeah.
talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not the stamp itself. The promo is probably Asia exclusive, but the Xerneas is not exclusive. Which something I didn't know. So errata what we said the other week when we talked about it. But anyways, this Xerneas has a 1 energy attack called Geogate. Search your deck for up to 3 basic psychic Pokemon, put them on your bench, then shuffle your deck. This is a really good kind of safety net if you can't find Ralts to be able to get the Monkey Dories out, because your only real way off Monkey Dory is like Nest Ball and Artisan.
Hmm.
And sometimes you need to use that to get a Ralts out. So can really help you fill out the bench, I think, in the early game, especially if you can't TM Evo. So I really like this Xerneas. It wouldn't surprise me to see the Xerneas in a Gardevoir deck, although I think Gardevoir is a little tight on space because I think Estrevia or not Fluttermane. That
Yeah.
one's really good. I know some people play Klefki, and then you got to think about, like the Mew EX and stuff. So I think space is kind of tight, but I think that you could see this have play.
I really want to play around with this in GLC
Yeah, this is probably so good in GLC.
because
Agreed.
120 basic that does 120 for 3 is like very serviceable, good attack. But that first attack, like if you can get this off early in the game, like say you play an Arvin, you go get a float stone and a nest ball, and you have an energy in hand, like boom, you can. Some of the hardest things to do in GLC for any deck, but especially not grass decks, is just getting set up, getting all the Pokemon you want on your bench. And so I think the Xerneas will be really strong in GLC too.
I like that. I like that call out.
Moving into the fighting Pokemon, because I don't think there's really anything. I mean, is this Gimme Ghoul? Does it replace the Gimme Ghoul in Goldango? I don't think so.
There's a Gimme Ghoul that's what Call for Family.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, there's a Call for Family Gimme Ghoul. I think the other Gimme Ghoul that people play are the Surging Sparks one,
Hmm.
where it grabs two basic energy cards to put in the hand. This one just does 10 damage and it still
Yeah, it's
has 2
bad.
retreat costs. So yeah, I don't see this replacing either of the Gimme Ghouls.
um, just moving on then. I'm just sort of looking through some things. I will say this: the Onyx here, I used to flip a coin. I always, I always look at cards that do paralysis because every now and again, like there will be a good card that does paralysis that like nobody sees coming, and it's just a great way to like trap something for a turn in the active, especially when people aren't running switch. But
Mhm.
the flip a coin, yeah, never mind.
There's a
um,
Hariyama with Heave Ho Catcher. That'll be a great ability to maybe say if you're playing a rogue deck, because I don't think this card's that great. But once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may use this ability. Switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. So the cool thing about this is that you get to choose what the switch is. So it's effectively like a free boss's orders
yeah,
in there, which boss's orders could be nice, right? If you want to try to play other supporters, but this is a big, beefy 3 retreat cost guy. So I don't know if he's that great, but maybe in GLC this is really nice because it's a free boss's orders. I don't know.
I will say people might play this because do you remember a few years ago people were playing the Umbreon, I believe it was VMAX or
Yeah, Umbreon VMAX. Yeah, it has
yeah,
an ability to boss's orders.
yeah, and people were playing that. It's a three prizer. People were like saying, "I'll play
Yeah.
a three prizer just for this effect." So I actually do think that people might play a 2-2 line of this, especially in certain decks. Like if you're playing Joltik Box, right? And you're like, hey, I really don't want whatever you're leaving in the active that's big. I'd rather go after something else with my Iron Hands or whatever. Um, I don't know. Might see some play, but you're right. The three the three retreat is bad, very bad.
The
Um,
Lunatone, though, is getting a lot of noise from the community with its ability Lunar Cycle. It's a basic 110 HP fighting type Pokemon. Once during your turn, if you have a Soul Rock in play, you may discard a basic fighting energy card from your hand. In order to use this ability, draw 3 cards. Can't use more than one Lunar Cycle ability per turn. I am trying to figure out what the different soul rocks are that we have in format right now.
oh, like looking them up on Pokemon. Interesting.
Yeah.
While you do that, I'll read the current Solrock in this set
Yeah.
to tell people that this ain't it, Chief. The
No.
Solrock that comes in this set is 110 HP. For 1 fighting, you do 70 damage. If you don't have a Lunatone, it does nothing. And the damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance. So it's just a straight 70 for 1 fighting, which, like, in GLC, I think this will be strong. Outside of GLC, I don't think that this is really particularly playable. But to Jake's point, and this is me throwing it back to you, are there any other good Soul Rocks? Is there a Psychic maybe Soul Rock? Maybe that's
There
out
is
there.
a psychic soul rock from Obsidian Flames that has Call for Family on it. Be able to put 2 basic Pokemon and put them
Okay.
on your bench, then shuffle your deck. I think that's the only one because Crown Zenith has rotated because that's F block, right?
Yeah.
F block has rotated. We're only in G block now. I don't think there's any more that I can
Okay.
think about.
Uh, you know what? There's probably something in expanded that works for it. Because the problem is, I think a lot of the good Soul Rocks are also Psychic type, so you can't
Mhm.
even use this Lunatone with those Soul Rocks in GLC. So
You can't use it in GLC, but, uh well, I mean, you could, like, there's other Soul Rocks that are
that are fighting.
viable, I feel like, in GLC, right? Because there's the old one from, Crown Zenith, right, that says, "Once during your turn, you may attach a psychic energy from your discard pile to one of your Lunatones." So well, no, this is only fighting. Never mind. I don't really know. Anyways,
It's
I know
in
some people were
theory.
talking about it.
I
Yeah.
think maybe people were talking. I don't know. Maybe it's better than I think it is. But I think in pre-release format, this will be a strong card because the
Oh,
other
yes.
the other 3 promos are stage 2s. So whoever gets this deck will have a very fast and strong early game. So, like, in theory, if you can find your pieces outside of that, you might be able to take your prizes and do enough damage before your opponent can get set up. So I think that might be the rub there. So
Yeah. But anyways, gonna move into our next mega Pokemon, Mega Lucario EX. Has 2 attacks, one for 1 fighting energy as a 340 HP fighting type, 2 retreat cost Pokemon called Aura Jab, 130 damage. Attach up to 3 basic fighting energy cards from your discard pile to your bench Pokemon in any way you'd like. And then for 2 fighting, Mega Brave, 270 damage. And during your next turn, this Pokemon can't use Mega Brave. Seems pretty all right. Seems like a good step in the right direction for fighting type Pokemon, right? To kind of have a resurgence in the format.
yeah, I mean, I think that if you build your deck correctly, um, this is actually I think this is a great early game mega. Like most of the other megas we've seen, I think are probably like late game megas because it gives up 3 prizes, blah blah blah. But I think early game, like being able to do 130, probably knock out something that's not evolved in the active. So you're going to take a prize, you're going to accelerate hopefully 3 energy to 1 or 2 probably of your Pokemon on your bench. And to be honest, fighting hasn't. I'm like thinking about it right now, and fighting hasn't really had a particularly strong energy accelerator in a minute, right? So like there might be basic fighting Pokemon out there that just haven't been on anybody's radar because of the fact that they don't have a lot of acceleration. So I don't know. I could see, in theory, some Mega Lucario deck taking a quick early game, maybe taking 1, 2 prizes, being happy to give up 3, but then having a board that's so set up that they're like, you know, I don't know. Like, do you remember the old there was the original Koraidon EX that has the
Yeah,
ability.
it was fine.
Well,
Not that
what
good.
was the ability on that Koraidon? Do you want to look that?
It
Because
accelerated energies and then ended your turn, I'm pretty sure.
well, maybe it wasn't Koraidon then. There was a Pokemon that turned off your opponent's Pokemon that had abilities if they had any damage counters on them.
Ting Lu?
Maybe that's the one I'm thinking
Yeah,
about.
Ting
Yeah.
Lu. Yeah.
So I think this with Ting Lu might actually be viable.
Is Ting Lu in format?
Yes, because the Wo-Chien is still in format and all that, and the
Oh,
Chen
yeah, it
Pao.
is Paldea evolved. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the ability read? Is it only on basics or is it on?
It is, as long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, your opponent's Pokemon in play that have any damage counters on them have no abilities except for Pokemon EX.
Except for Pokemon EX?
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is a good monkey counter.
I mean, it could be a good monkey counter, but then, oh yeah, monkey can't move the damage counters,
Yeah. You play
so they
Mega
stick. Yeah.
Lucario, Hawlucha, Ting Lu, and then maybe some other fighting type. So you have like some weird fighting box with Mega Lucario. I don't know. It's
Maybe.
probably not a great deck, but like, who knows? You're weak to psychic, so you get absolutely hosed by Gardevoir anyways. But who knows?
If you've got kind of some spread, mathy kind of fighting deck, this Marshadow though has a 2 energy fighting attack that does 60 damage called Shadow Kick. And if your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack, prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. So I think that's pretty. I mean, if you can
That's
figure
cool.
out a math deck to use this Marshadow, that would be pretty sweet.
Uh, I feel like don't we have there's an item in this set, Jake? Does it power up the attacks of fighting type Pokemon?
Uh, I
I'm gonna
I
scroll
feel
down.
like yeah, it's like fighting a Lou,
There is
fighting a
something.
lot, fighting a something,
Oh, it's not on
fighting all light.
fighting Olay.
From Snow Hazard. So I think that's
Is it on?
Paldea Evolved. Yeah, it's been out.
Oh, is it the
Oh
one that
wait,
looks
no,
like
no,
a
no, no,
Gatorade
just
bottle?
kidding.
No,
That one heals 60 damage. Just kidding. I have no idea, but
there's a
I'm
fighting
pretty sure we
item
do.
card that looks like a Gatorade bottle, and it's unfortunately I don't believe it's on this set list. But um, oh no,
I
it is
vaguely know
Premium
what you're
Power
talking about.
Pro. I'll just do
Oh,
this one real quick. Premium Power Pro. During this turn, attacks used by your fighting Pokemon do 30 more damage. It's Electro Power.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Um, so like with that, to your point, like you can do more than 60 with this Marshadow. So like, I don't know. To your point, like, late game, if you have a little bit of spread, you throw this Marshadow in the active and you're like, hey, I'm not going to give up one prize. I'm going to give up 0 prizes for this Pokemon. So either you have a boss or I'm going to win. That's actually pretty dope. So I don't know. Jake, I'm looking through like what else is on the list. I mean, if you wanted, you could stack it with this. Is it Garganackle or Giganical? That has the
I
ability to
don't know.
power.
I know it's a play on the periodic table,
Oh God. Well, it says the ability
which I
Power
definitely
Salt.
don't know.
Uh, attacks used by your fighting Pokemon do 30 more damage. This does stack. It is a stage 2, so take that for what it is.
Got to
But
get it out there. Yeah.
yeah. But Jake, let's give us a rundown on Mega Absol, the first basic Mega that we're talking about.
Mega Absol EX has 2 attacks as a 280 HP dark type Mega. The first attack, Doom Period, dark and colorless. If your opponent's active Pokemon has exactly 6 damage counters on it, that Pokemon is knocked out. Very easy when you have 2 Monkey Dories, right? Because that's boom, 6 damage counters on there already. But it also has another attack, dark, colorless, Cruel Claw, 200 damage. Their opponent reveals their hand, discard a card you find in there. So I think Mega Absol EX is cool, right? Especially if there's some interesting ways to get 6 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. I swear Monkey Dory has to be involved in this deck somehow, right? That's the only way I see this really going. But who knows? Maybe we'll see some other things.
Yeah, you're probably right. There probably is some Monkey Dory action going on.
Especially with this next card, Spiritomb. Uh, sorry to cut you off, I
No, go,
guess.
go.
I wanted to It has the ability Resentful Maelstrom. Whenever your active dark Pokemon is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, put 1 damage counter on the attacking Pokemon. So, cool way to stack some damage. I would love
These
Painful
abilities stack.
Spite. Yeah, these abilities do stack, so you can get a lot of damage counters on the Pokemon. I think Painful Spite Spiritomb would be, if that was like put back in the deck, would be so interesting with like Monkey Dories
Oh my
because they just put the
gosh.
damage counters on themselves and then you move them.
That's disgusting. Oh my gosh,
It's
Jake.
probably actually, I don't know if it'd actually be that good because you're only getting 1 damage counter a turn. And so what is Monkey gonna do? Just move 1 damage counter?
I mean, but
I
I
don't
will
know.
say, like, I do think that some combination of a few Spiritombs and maybe even things like Rocky Helmet, which puts 3 damage counters on the Pokemon if it does damage to your Pokemon. Um,
Mhm.
I think you could manage a combination of stuff like that where you can math it out perfectly for Mega Absol. Maybe you're even playing things like Badoo in the deck just to do 1 damage at a time, slow your opponent down. It doesn't take any energy. Um, yeah, I do think that there is a world in which this um this deck could work. I think the better Mega Absol, and then especially with the future sets Roaring Moon EX can get, I do think that you might want to start thinking about just keep in the back of your mind that Mist Energy exists. That's all I'll say. Is that Mist Energy would absolutely hose those strategies. So something to consider.
Exactly.
Um, but Jake, I'll mention this Yveltal because it has an attack for 1 darkness clutch, 20 damage. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. I mean, between Maractus, Wellspring Mask, Ogerpon, and now Yveltal, it seems like a bunch of decks have options of just trapping something in the active. So I just wanted to
Cool.
mention
I
it.
will play Switch.
Okay, fair. um,
I will Arvin for Switch or Secret Box for Switch. I will just switch.
but yeah, I'm looking through here. I don't think there's really any other dark type Pokemon in this set. The next set will be where all the dark type Pokemon are. Uh,
Mhm.
but the next Mega that we're talking about is another basic Mega Mawile EX. It is a Metal Pokemon, 270 HP. For Metal Energy, greedily devour. This attack does 80 damage for each prize card you've taken, which is interesting. Each prize card you've taken, not each prize card your opponent has taken. And then it has the second attack for a Metal Colorless Big Bite, 260 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon already has any damage counters on it, this attack does 30 instead. So just 260 or 30. Um, I don't know. Is this even good? I mean, maybe this is good in an Archaludon deck.
I feel like it's whatever. I don't think it's that good.
Because you can power it up in Archaludon, right? Like, because you evolve the
Yeah,
Archaludon
sure.
EX, and then if you've taken 5 prize cards, it's a good closer for 400 damage.
I guess, like, in the early game, when someone sticks something big in the active, you could just big bite,
Yeah.
when they haven't done anything on there. But I just see, like, you facing up against a Gardevoir, and then the Gardevoir, what they do is they just preemptively put damage counters on all their Pokemon. So then you're like, "Ah, yes, 30 damage." You can't even kill a Screamtail with 20 damage on it.
Yeah, that would be.
And then you just power up its attack without having to accelerate energies.
Yeah. I mean, look, it does do 80 for each prize card. So if you've taken 2 prizes at that point,
Yeah.
you're doing 160. I mean, it's not nothing. I think
It's not
it's
nothing, but it's not really something.
no, it's not great. I think if you really like playing Archaludon, though, I will say look at this card as your closer because that's the one problem Archaludon has is it does not have a strong closer right now, especially after Dialga rotated.
Mhm.
So this is, I think, your main go to like take the last 2 or 3 prizes. So
Yeah.
Jake,
It's
what is next
400
on your
nothing is
list?
Kafka. The next one on my list, we're gonna have to scroll down a bunch.
Okay.
I do think that the skipping over the Tinkets Online, I do think that the Goldango is kinda cheeky. I don't think it's better than the one prize Goldango. that Goldengos can currently play, but all you can grab as a 1 energy attack, flip a coin until you get tails, search a deck for a number of cards up to the number of heads and put them in your hand, then shuffle your deck. That's kind of funny. I
It's a
don't think
fun
it's that
attack.
good. Yeah,
No.
it's fun,
You draw so many
but
cards that you're like, "What, you didn't have it already? What are we doing
yeah,
here?"
exactly. Mega Latias EX, though, I think is a little bit better as a basic 280 HP dragon type Pokemon. Crazy that this doesn't have free retreat.
It
But
has
maybe that
strafe.
would be
It's just
too
like
good.
free retreat,
It
Jake.
does. It has Strafe, a 1 energy, 40 damage attack. Switch this Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon, but it has a 300 energy or 300 damage, 300 energy. That'd be crazy. 300 damage attack, fire, psychic, colorless, illusory impulse. Maybe I said that right.
Yep, you did.
Discard all energy from this Pokemon. This is a great thing, as we kind of talked about when this was first revealed, as maybe like a finisher for Dragapult, right? Be able to, with the good energy synergy that this card has with Dragapult decks, be able to hit a big number that Dragapult often misses. And especially with Dusknor as well, that could be pretty nice to be able to hit like 430 HP,
Yeah.
can knock out any of the 3 prize Pokemon.
I think if you're running this in your Dragapult line, obviously you're gonna need to run Crispin. But on
Mhm.
top of that, you might consider a one of counter gain because if you're playing your cards right, maybe you are like always behind on prizes at this point. So, because 3 energy, if you want to get that all on at once, you got to play either counter gain or like energy switch. There's not really another way to do that all in one turn in Dragapult. So, um, the one thing I will say, I like how they switch it with your bench Pokemon for 40. It's not bad. It's like you get damage on the board, you get out of the active. Um, but I'm remembering back to Giratina and Garchomp tag team. Do you remember that? It
Yeah.
had a single energy attack that did 40 as well, but you could do 40 to any Pokemon on the field. Personally, I would have really loved for them to bring that back if you're going to give a 3 prize basic a 1 energy attack, because I think it would have been a cool callback. I understand the retreat. I'm like, okay, that's fine, I guess. But that you're only using that if you've happened to start this Pokemon, which like rip, you know?
Yeah.
Uh,
Especially because it's not for retreat.
yeah. Oh, actually, hold on. This ability here for Latios, Lustrous Assist. Once during your turn, when your Mega Latios moves from your bench to the active, you can use this ability. Move any amount of energy from your bench Pokemon to your active. So I guess that's another way to power this Mega Latios up is if you play the Latios, then you can kind of play this Mega Latios like a Virizion or like a Iron Leaves.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Very, eh,
Because like
I don't know.
if you're playing Dragapult and you're like, how do I knock out a Gardevoir EX in one turn? This gets you there, right? Because you don't have to play Crispin. You can move all the energy. You can boss the
Well, it gets you
Gardevoir.
there if you have the
One
damage
damage.
counters already on it. Yes.
One, yeah,
Yeah.
you need one. It's
1
I'm like,
damage
okay.
or what is it? 6 for the Mega?
Yeah, 6 for the Mega. I mean, I
Yeah.
think your Gardevoir deck math, your Gardevoir matchup is still bad because
Yeah.
it's a 3 prize Pokemon that is weak to Lily's Clefairy. Like, ugh. But that's just me.
It is what it is.
Jake, what's next on your list?
Scrolling down, I think that Spiro Firo is not worth talking about. But with Firo, you can flip 5 coins at once for a 1 energy attack. So I know all of you that love coins can get to flipping. But Mega Kangaskhan EX, 300 HP basic Mega Pokemon, has the ability Run Errand. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may use this ability. Draw 2 cards. And then with a 3 energy rapid fire combo attack, you do 200 plus damage, flip a coin till you get tails. You do 50 more damage for each head. So I would like this ability way more if it didn't cost 3 to retreat. It's not even like air balloonable. You need Latias EX in play, right? I only see this working if you have Latias EX in play. But yeah, I mean, draw 2, kind of nice.
Do you play this, Jake, with um, the new Cinderace that you can theoretically put into the active to start the game that accelerates 3
You
fire
could.
energy?
Yeah. You could do that. You could, but so Cinderace, the weird thing is that Cinderace has to be in the active spot, I'm pretty sure.
It does.
And also
Well, you put it in
yeah,
the
you have
active
to
as
make it,
your opener.
yeah, you put in the active as the opener, and then you need to go into Mega Kangaskhan to use the run errand ability, right, to draw two, or maybe you don't, but you could use the Cinderace attack to power this guy up. And
Yeah.
then, next turn go in and be able to do that. So I think it's a little weird, but yes, that combo does exist.
I'm also thinking like, is this another option in a Joltik box deck? Just kind of thinking out loud. Like,
Uh,
like maybe.
Maybe. I think 300 is just a little easy to hit for a lot of decks right now,
Yeah.
especially because it's that's 5 energies for Raging Bolt, right? Because it's 70 times. The Gardevoir
Yeah.
EX, the Mega Gardevoir EX even.
Yeah.
That's just 6 energies.
That's a
Just
tough one.
6 energies.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know. I feel like
it's
it's
interesting.
just yeah, I think it's cool because like you do get to use the draw to ability. But I don't know. I just don't, if its retreat cost was air balloonable, I could see this being much more viable because then you could have a pivot Pokemon. But
Yeah. Right
Mega
now you have
Kangaskhan
to play
EX
Latios.
yeah, you have to play Latios, which is another bench spot, and I feel like the bench is really tight right now in the format. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if you can afford to use those as 2 bench spots.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing would be like, is it in a Terra box deck that you're running? But to your point about like 300 HP is like, it's crazy to say that that's not that much, but like it's totally doable.
Mhm.
And the attack only guarantees you 200. And so like, am I going to potentially give up 3 prizes to do 200 damage for 3 energy? And the answer is probably not.
Yeah.
So, unfortunate. Um, oh, I really like this Delibird.
I
90
love
HP.
Delibird.
Yeah, 90 HP, one colorless attack, fast gift. If you go first, you can use this attack during your first turn. Search your deck for any card, put it into your hand, and shuffle. I think that's dope.
I think that's pretty cool. I don't know what would really play it. Um, I mean, this is I think this is really cool in GLC though
Yeah.
for the normal decks, right? Because this is a really cool Pokemon to start out with. Um, but I don't know. In standard, 90 HP is too small.
It is small, and it's not buddy poffinable, so you have to use like
Yeah.
a artisan or a nest ball. I really am trying to think of like what weird deck. I guess if you're going first and you want to play a deck that needs rare candy, you can kind of guarantee yourself any one of those cards, assuming your
Yeah.
opponent does an Iono. So if I mean, I don't know. I would just say if you got a stage 2 deck, maybe, and you have nothing better to do turn 1, and you're like, I really don't like the way that Badoo plays. It's not the worst. That's all I'll say. I think it's kind of interesting. So it might be a one of option for you in those decks.
Yeah. Out of all the non EX cards, probably on the upper end of viability.
Yeah.
Because I feel like especially the Pokemon as this, in my opinion, rounds out all the Pokemon in the set. Uh I don't know, like outside of the EXs, I'm not really excited for a lot of these.
No.
Um Except for like GLC. GLC has some really cool stuff. And the Alakazam deck I think is
Yeah.
super sweet. I would love to just be able to draw like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cards. Because that's why I play card games. I love drawing cards. But
Yeah.
um yeah, I'm just like not thrilled about a lot of stuff.
I feel that. I feel that. I mean, like, look, it's an interesting thing. It's a base set. This is also what I think is a little bit weird about this set, Jake. Is like the best comparisons that you should make to this is Scarlet Violet base, Sword and Shield base, right? Like this is
But is it a
technically,
base set though?
yeah, it's base set for Mega
Oh,
Evolution as a block, an icon, like a or whatever.
interesting. Okay. Yeah.
So I think about this like, okay, if this is a base set, there's going to be some definite stinkers in terms of Pokemon. But base set for Scarlet Violet gave us gave us Gardevoir, and I believe was Miraidon in there too. No, no,
Yes.
yeah,
No. Miraidon, Koraidon were later in Paradox Rift
okay.
because that introduced the ancient future.
Well, yeah, fair. Okay, there was something, but
No,
like,
actually, Miraidon, Koraidon wasn't
yeah, I thought it
in Scarlet
was
Violet base set because they're box legendaries. Yeah, you're
right.
right.
So like you got Gardevoir and we got Miraidon, and those cards have both been pretty relevant for a long time. Some more than others, but like they both are good for their respective archetypes. And I look at this one and I think to myself, what what are we saying about this as defining a whole format for the future? And the only thing I can think of is like I do think that in theory, Venusaur could be something good, but they just always give Fire so much good support that I don't think it is going to hold up long term.
Mhm.
So like, are they expecting Gardevoir and maybe Mega Manectric? Like, because and maybe Lucario. The Lucario might be one of those things where like they expect fighting to be good for a while, but nothing in here screams like broken ability like Miraidon or Gardevoir had. So it's a little weird to me.
Yeah. So moving into the trainer cards, though, Acerola's Mischief is the first one. You can use this card only if you have 2 or fewer prize cards remaining. You choose a Pokemon in play during your next turn, prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon by attacks from your Pokemon opponent's Pokemon EX. What I think this is really interesting is this chooses any Pokemon in play. It can be a benched Pokemon.
Yeah.
Right, so especially if you're afraid of, like, a Screamtail Snipe or a Dragapult putting damage counters on that Pokemon, maybe like a Dusknoir Pop damage counter play on, like, a Pheasantipede or something, I don't know. The Acerola's Mischief is really cool because you can protect that Pokemon, which I think or actually it doesn't stop Screamtail because it's only a Pokemon opponent's Pokemon EX. But I hope you see my
Yeah.
point of like, and even if they're brought into the active, right? If they're
Yeah.
gusted up in the active, you would be able to protect them from EXs. It's not the typical like how the switching from bench to active kind of turns off effects. It's it doesn't follow that rule. So I think Ace Roll's Mischief is cool. I don't know. This could be like a cool one of tech in a lot of different decks just simply because it can be a way, you talk about the ADP
Yeah.
days, ADP Zacian days where literally ADP Zacian just went Boss to Dene, and that was the game. This can kind of protect from like strategies like that to where if you play Pheasantipede, to where if you play Latios EX, Squawkabilly, you can protect those Pokemon in the late games to where your opponent doesn't have as easy of a prize map, which I think is really, really cool.
I mean, honestly, I do think this is another card for Gardevoir, theoretically, too.
Yeah.
Because you think Gardevoir, if you're playing the game and you've had a better game than not, um, if the only two prizes you have on the field is a Gardevoir EX, and you're like, man, if my opponent has a boss and a way to knock this out, I just lose and there's nothing I can do about it. You could theoretically play this, leave your opponent with only single prize options, and in theory, just say like, "Hey, checkmate." Whole turn early, you can kind of give them a checkmate and say like, "What are you gonna do?" Like, you can't win next turn. There's no way you can do it. So, I think this card is a really interesting what of. I think the question is going to be like, can you consistently find it? Similar to the way that Briar is like in the right deck, it wins you the game, but we don't see it played very much because it's hard to find.
Yeah.
Um,
It's very specific in its timing. And this says if your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining, which I think is really, really cool because, Briar was only allowed to be played on a specific exact
mm-hmm.
one a
Terra,
one condition prize count. Whereas Ace Aurola's Mischief is like your opponent can have 2 prizes left or they can have 1 prize left.
yeah.
So there's multiple turns and there's much more situations where this can be like fulfilled.
I really want to see. Actually, Jake, I'm just thinking of something. Oh my god, what if you went down to one Pokemon in play and you played Pal Pad, 4 Pal Pads, 4 Acerolas Mischief, what is your opponent gonna do
Um,
if all they
I
have are
guess like
EXs?
this can really help. I mean, I do think there's something what you're saying there of like if you only have one Pokemon on the field, you just use Acerola's Mischief. But I don't think you would ever play 4 of Palpat and Acerola's Mischief. I think that's a little bit too
No,
much.
no. I'm just thinking
But I do
Sander.
understand your idea of like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do at that point when I have this giant Pokemon that's just whacking for knockouts, being able to do that. Pretty good.
No. I just found the perfect partner to Mega Kangaskhan, Jake. Because you get
Oh,
to draw
okay,
2
okay.
cards every turn too.
Yeah, you get to draw 2 cards. You get yourself down to 0 somehow with only Mega Kangaskhan in play, and you just loop Palpad double Acerola and
Yep.
whatnot,
I don't know.
and there
I
you
don't
go.
think that there's not like an infinite loop with this yet. But like, who knows? Maybe one day Sander will pick this card up and say, "I'm gonna stick the most
I
annoying Pokemon in the active."
I will agree though that, like, especially in a Sander deck, like a
Yeah.
control deck, in his, like, the Dunsparce deck that he piloted, right, to what was it, top 64 at Worlds?
Hmm.
I think it was. In something like that, control decks, this can just like outright buy you a turn.
Yeah.
In control decks, this could be a really interesting supporter. I don't know exactly because I haven't played too much control. I don't know the flow of like when you need to play things and when the kind of quote unquote loop happens. But this is a really interesting one to where like, yeah, 2 prizes or fewer, that can be multiple turns, or that can be a lot of situations where you are, uh, stalling out the game to where, like, okay, you can't hit this.
Now, I will say it only works by attacks from opponent's Pokemon EX. So, like,
Mhm.
there are ways around this, but the format is kind of littered with EX Pokemon, and I think an unsuspecting player might fall prey to this. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Talking about some of the other cards though, Boss's Orders and Energy Switch are being reprinted, so those will be around, and they also have new numbered blocks. They're in the I block, so keep them around for 3 more years or whatever it is. Is it when the groundhog sees a shadow or doesn't see a shadow?
I don't remember. I don't know which is which, but
I don't know either, and I don't really care that much to find out. But anyways, there's a new stadium card called Dangerous Ruins. Whenever either player puts a non-basic dark Pokemon onto their bench, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Or I'm sorry, a non-dark basic Pokemon. Those are very 2
different
different
words. Yeah, but
phrases.
it's
Yeah.
fine.
A non-dark basic Pokemon. So, especially with Mega Absol, right?
Yeah.
Needing that exact 6 damage counters, that's a really good way to do it. For the Monkey Dories as well, Monkey Dory is not a dark type Pokemon, it is a psychic type Pokemon. So, it would put damage counters on itself that you could move immediately. Thinking of all the combos, man, I love Monkey Dory. I think that card is so cool. But anyways, pretty interesting for Dangerous Ruins. This will definitely help some of those niche dark decks.
Yeah. Honestly, it might be, I don't know, halfway decent in Gardevoir. Because I'm just thinking like you do 10 with Badoo for no energy, you put your monkey down, move the 2 damage counters over to your opponent's Joltik. You knock out a Joltik
I
before
guess
your opponent has a turn.
I guess in theory, this could be really interesting in a Gardevoir deck because like you put 2 damage counters on a Scream Tail.
Mm-hmm.
Like you put a Scream Tail on the bench, and that's one less energy that you need to be able to hit specific numbers. So I could maybe see this as like a cheeky one of, but I don't know. I just feel like Artisan is too good, and like
It is very good.
you
Yeah.
need Artisan, and I don't know how many more stadiums you can fit because you have to play like you have to play at least one Artisan. Like I know a lot of lists play two. You could maybe go down to one because you could find Artisan with Secret Box, but like I do like
It
that kind of
it's
call
an
out
interesting
in Gardevoir.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. It could be something that you see in a regional that, like, all of a sudden it wins and,
Yeah.
it's
Um
like, "Oh my god." You heard it here first.
I'll mention briefly Fighting Gong. Search your deck for a basic fighting Pokemon and a basic fighting energy. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Just a really strong search card. You get a basic Pokemon and an energy off of one card. It's a +1 in hand. Really strong.
Mhm.
Um, I think this is, in my opinion, this is an auto include 4 of in any fighting deck. So, yeah. Clearly, they're trying to make fighting better in this set between the Lucario and this and some of the other stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely just a consistency card for that deck, especially because fighting needs it. Iron Defender is another item card, but works for metal Pokemon. During your opponent's next turn, all of your metal Pokemon take 30 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon after applying weakness and resistance. This also includes new Pokemon that come into play. So I
Oh,
think that's actually really interesting. Not only is this stackable, right? So you can stack a couple of these in a single turn. I don't know if you would do like all four at one time, but you know, in theory can help disrupt some math on your metal Pokemon. But if you played it maybe like before a professor's research, right?
yeah.
Uh and off of the professor's research, you grabbed a Mega Mawile EX and put it on the bench. That Iron Defender works on that Mega Mawile EX. So, really cool, in my opinion. An interesting card. I don't know how much this can actually help metal decks, but I feel like I mean, it's definitely unique. So, call out to them for a unique, interesting effect.
Yeah, I will say, who was it? Jake Gearhart and the Lucario Melmetal GX era of like, oh my god, this would be so annoying in that era. So
Mhm.
maybe just a tinge of that is back in the world. Um,
Exactly.
Next card here, Lily's Determination. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6 cards. If you have exactly 6 prize cards remaining, draw 8 instead. Very good early game supporter if you are a deck that doesn't want to get rid of a lot of resources. Um,
Yeah, I would almost consider this to be like a Gardevoir card as well. There's a lot of decks that could utilize this, but
mhm,
there's a lot of times like when you're playing Professor's Research, you're like, God, I don't want to discard all these cards.
mhm.
Um, so might just be nice to be able to Lily's Determination at the beginning of the game to be able to get one more card than a research. You don't build up your discard pile, but can still really help you out in that aspect. So I think this card's good. This card is going to be played a lot, whether it's GLC or uh, this is just literally a better Cynthia.
Yes, this is yeah.
Uh,
Straight
and
up,
yeah,
Cynthia just got power crept. That's all that
yeah,
happened.
it literally did because Cynthia is always a shuffle draw 6, where this could be a shuffle draw 8. Wow, that's crazy. This card is good.
It
Uh,
is. It's
I
yeah, it's
would I
wild.
would make sure you had 4 of these, yeah.
Um, Jake, how do you feel about this next one? Lieutenant Surge's bargain.
This card is so funny, and again, the creativity. I can't wait to play this in a pre-release. Lieutenant Surge's Bargain supporter card. Ask your opponent if both players may draw a prize card. If yes, both players draw a prize card. If no, you draw 4 cards.
That seems
I think
good.
this is really interesting in pre-release because if you put your opponent in a situation where you have 2 prize cards left and you play this card, you could either go down to 1 prize and then take a knockout to win the game, or you can just draw 4 cards.
Yeah.
To maybe able to enhance your bench for the clapback kind of turn because they wouldn't draw a prize card. So this is like a really cool, funny card when there's 2 prizes remaining because like your opponent's like, oh God, do they have the game right? This is going to cause a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
I this card is chaos.
I kind of want to run a deck, Jake, that plays 4 of these, 4 Pal Pads, and 4 Pokegears, and just be like,
You're
this
just
is
gonna
the
add,
only supporter in my deck. I'm gonna run Tatsugiri, and I'm just like, what do you play? I play Quad Lieutenant Surge's Bargain. I'm just here to make a deal with you. That's all I'm here for.
I am here. This is the politics and like Magic Commander.
It is.
when you're like, if you let me do this effect, you'll get this, whatever. That's what this feels like. This is so funny to me. I love this card. It's probably not that good. Uh, yeah, it's probably not that good.
I mean, look,
So
if they keep saying no, you just keep drawing 4, and, like, I'm fine with drawing in certain decks, man.
yeah,
My
but I don't
Maractus
know.
Frostlass deck, yes, please. I don't need to go fast, just give me cards.
But then your opponent also draws a prize card.
So, if I'm only
That's one
giving up
less
1
nugget they
prize
get.
at a time and they're giving up 2, I'm down with that math.
I will say a card that we can both agree is pretty good. Lush Forest. We talked about this card previously. It is a new stadium card. Each player's grass Pokemon can evolve into another grass Pokemon during the turn they play those Pokemon. Players cannot evolve a Pokemon during their first turn. So, outside of the first turn of the game for that player, Forest of Giant Plants is back, baby.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You can evolve a Pokemon twice.
Oh, you
You
can with
can,
this?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, because each player's grass Pokemon they or can evolve into another grass Pokemon during the turn they play those
Oh,
Pokemon.
yeah, I guess you can go if you play so if I play Bulbasaur, on turn 2, I
I'm
can go straight Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur from hand.
I'm not 100% confident on that, to be honest.
Well, I mean, in theory, that's, like, especially good. But, granted, you have to have all those Pokemon in hand, so it's not like, um, you know, it's not quite as strong as some of the other things, but it's still very
Either
this is
way,
still a very strong card.
being able to cheat out evolutions essentially, whether you can go from basic to stage 2, pretty well. Actually, you could go basic to stage 2 from just rare candy.
Yeah,
That's
so, I mean
something.
it
Whether
in
I know
theory, it
the correct
works.
ruling or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether I know the correct thing. But either way, this is going to be really nice consistency for the grass type decks, especially because we talked about some of the, I feel like some of the best cards that we talked about in the set are two stage 2 grass Pokemon in Meganium and Venusaur. So,
Yeah.
like, that'll just help them out a ton. Especially because you can find that Mega Venusaur so easily, or any other Mega Pokemon with Mega Signal. It's an item card that searches your deck for a Mega Evolution Pokemon EX, puts it in your hand. It's Cherish Ball
It's just great. I
for the
mean,
Megas. Yeah, just a solid card. I mean, if you're just like any of these other ones, if you just have a Mega Pokemon, just go get it.
it's
That
very
can't be bad.
strong. This is very
Yeah.
strong. I think this card just gets stronger and stronger. If there is there like a full art version of this coming in the set?
I think so. Probably.
I will say,
I
if you
mean,
like
it'd
to bling
be
out your
silly
deck,
if it didn't.
the sooner you pick this up, the cheaper it's going to be because it's just going to get better the more and more megas they print. So that would be my advice to
Exactly.
everybody. Just get them now if you want to bling. Um,
Oh, speaking of Gardevoir.
yeah, I was going to say next card here is another stadium card, Mysterious Garden. Once during each player's turn, that player may discard an energy card from their hand in order to draw cards until they have as many cards in their hand as they have psychic Pokemon in play. So even if you end up not drawing anything with Gardevoir, um, you could still discard that psychic energy and just be like, cool, it's another way for me to discard energy. We had that one stadium that healed damage, but if you're
Yeah.
Gardevoir, you don't really want to heal damage. You're happy doing it with Monkey Dory, which is probably why that stadium hasn't seen a lot of play. So I guess, Jake, does this one entice you to run it as like a 1-1 split of Artisan or as a third stadium in Gardevoir?
I I definitely think it could be a third stadium. Because I think Artisan just in the early game is just so good. But Mysterious Garden also has a ton of value because once you have all of those Pokemon in play, right, you could just draw cards or just put energies in the discard pile. So I definitely think you put this in. I don't know if you would put any more than one in, but I think it's at least a 1-1 split with Artisan while we have Artisan. And then once Artisan rotates, it would be like a 2 of, I think.
Yeah. I think this is really strong because there are certain games where Gardevoir, for whatever reason, your just hand is not particularly great. And it's
Hmm.
sometimes hard to get rid of energy in hand if you don't have an Ultra Ball. Um, and this will get rid of the energy. And likely, if your opponent maybe Ionoed you, it'll draw you back into everything you need without maybe even needing to put Pheasantipity in play. So
Exactly.
we already talked about the Premium Power Pro, basically Electro Power for fighting Pokemon. Um, we have
Pokemon Center
Repel.
Lady is getting
Oh yeah,
reprinted. Just to let you know, heal 60 damage from one of your Pokemon, recovers all special conditions. It's
yeah.
not really that good, but it's a reprint with a new art, and I think the new art is pretty cute. And I think correlates to the new games. So,
Oh, ZA,
anyways, go on.
nice.
Yeah.
The next card I want to talk about is Repel. So this is an item card that says switch out your opponent's active Pokemon to the bench, but your opponent chooses a new active. So this is effectively Iron Bundle, but as an item card.
Mhm.
Which I think is pretty interesting, right? Like there's probably going to be lots of scenarios where your opponent tries to leave something really big in the active. I don't necessarily know if you would play this as more than a one of, right? Like because it's very
Especially in
situational.
Arven builds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're playing a heavy Arvin build, I think this is a cool one of card where you can Arvin, go grab maybe some interesting tool, and this maybe. I don't know. like uh
It'll be curious to see, but I think I agree it'll be a niche situation.
yeah. Jake, what is this next stadium?
Surfing Beach. Once during each player's turn, that player may switch their active water Pokemon with one of their benched water Pokemon. It's probably a GLC card, if anything. Uh,
Uh
Water's not really like super impactful
I think
right
it's
now in
really
standard.
good. I'm trying to think about like that Clawitzer that we mentioned that like when it goes from your
Yeah,
active to your bench. I think that is probably in their mind what this is best designed for right now.
yeah, I
Um
agree.
And look, 210 damage isn't nothing, but I don't, it's hard to say whether or not that will be a good deck. So, but yeah, I agree. I think in GLC it's very strong because a lot of your water Pokemon in GLC are pretty big on their retreat cost, right? Like 3 or 4 if you're playing Wailord or Satitan.
Yeah, and I mean outside of like Floatstone, there's not really any free retreat Pokemon to my understanding, or at least in the version that I play.
Yeah.
You're very dependent on Floatstone as your pivot. So could be a nice stadium card. I don't know if you replace any other stadiums, but it's pretty good.
Now I'm gonna mention this one because this suspicious clock here, I think is gonna make Alakazam that much better. Devolve one of your evolved psychic Pokemon by returning any number of evolution cards on it to your hand. It is the coolest version of Scoop Up Net. Now, it does say that Pokemon can't evolve this turn. So you can't,
Thank God.
yeah, that would be absolutely gross. But like in theory, if you use the effect, right? Like say you Abra into Kadabra and you're like, I'm happy leaving it there. And then the next turn, you already evolve it into Alakazam. You play this on that turn, put those two back into your hand, and then you're just ready to start the chain over again next turn. And it's also, if you put two Pokemon back into your hand with this, Jake, it is a +1 in hand just from this card. So in a deck that cares about how many cards you have in your hand, it's also a +1.
I also think about Gardevoir.
Yeah.
Think about especially when you play the Mega. Think about with the Mega being so big, you probably have to do some setup damage on it a lot of times, especially because we talked about how Dusknoir Dragapult, combo get
Hmm.
the uh cannot get the knockout. Think about like when you start putting damage on the Mega Gardevoir EX, and then all of a sudden they use this item, de-evolve their Mega Gardevoir EX, and instead of you taking 3 prizes, you might only take 1 prize
Yeah.
if it's enough to even knock out the 100 HP Curlia now.
Yeah.
Uh, so I just think that Gardevoir's like flexibility got so interesting with the different Gardevoirs that are in the deck, whether it's the regular EX or the Mega.
I will say too, it's a nice way. A lot of people will sometimes try to trap Gardevoir in the active.
Hmm.
If they know that you don't have 2 energy in the discard, right? They will sometimes
Hmm.
bring up the Gardevoir, do some damage to it, and know that you have 2 retreat costs instead of 1. Something like this either will, to your point, knock out the Pokemon and only give up 1 prize because, you know, it's not a 3 or a 2 prizer anymore. But it also gets you out of a lock in the active spot too if
Hmm.
you're trapped. So like there's a lot of I don't yeah, I agree. Like this is I'm excited to play around with this card in so many different ways.
It'll be fun in there. Switch and Ultra Ball also getting reprinted in these, so you can see them with their new marks. Uh, for a couple more years. I like Ultra Ball. Switch is always in format, but I
Yeah.
like Ultra Ball continuing to stay in. I think it's just another one of those staple cards that they've had. And Wally's Compassion is our final card in the set. Wally's Compassion is a supporter card. Heal all damage from one of your Mega Pokemon EX. If you healed any damage this way, put all of your energies attached to that Pokemon into your hand. Which, if you want to scroll all the way back up to the grass type Pokemon, we've talked about this combo before, but I'm going to say it again in case you do not know. Maybe it's your first time on the podcast, or maybe you just don't remember from that episode. Meganium gives those double energies, but Venusaur moves the energies from one of your Pokemon to another, the basic grass energy Pokemon. So the big 380 HP beefy Venusaur, if you got damage counters on that, you could just move all the energies off, use Wally's Compassion to heal right back up, and then put the damage counters back on, or put the energies back on.
Yeah, I mean this with Teal Mask Gogurpon I think is the play, right?
Yeah.
Cuz not only does it heal the Venusaur, but every time you attach to the Teal Mask Gogurpon, you draw a card. So it effectively gives you another draw 3 if you have 3 of them on the bench, which is just like the downside of that Wally's should be that that's your supporter for turn, and you likely don't have a way to draw a lot of cards otherwise. But with Teal
Yeah.
Mask Gogurpon, it basically says, JK, heal all the damage plus draw whatever. And probably still attack again. So yeah, that's the combo I'm really looking forward to. I don't know how long Mega Venusaur will stay good because of Charizard, Mega Charizard X EX.
I think its best opportunity is probably on release, unless there are more cards that get revealed that just like break it,
Yeah.
you know?
And look, we might get a card. We've seen this in the past with certain archetypes. Or even like, do you remember the card Weakness Policy, Jake? The item, the
Yeah.
tool?
And
Yeah.
I remember the weakness special energy.
Yeah. So like I
Yeah.
could see them maybe reprinting something like that because they probably want Mega Latias to be viable. And with Lily's Clefairy play, I think that really hurts Mega Latias' ability. Um,
Mhm.
the Venusaur is obviously a really strong card, but the Mega Charizard X just does so much damage, and it just will, I think,
It's
could
fire.
theoretically gatekeep it. So I
Yeah.
could see them printing. It might be a special energy because can you imagine, Jake, the setback of like, oh man, I need to throw a 5th energy onto that Mega Venusaur because I think its attack is 4 grass. I'm scrolling back up
Yeah.
right now to. So yeah,
4 grass.
yeah. Imagine like in order to protect the Venusaur, you have to put a 5th energy on, being weakness. And actually, oh my God, Jake, this is perfect. It makes so much sense because then it forces the Charizard decks to play that new item card that can discard a special energy.
Yep. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I actually I see a weakness energy getting reprinted or it's some form of it.
And yeah, some form of it, but also I feel like there hasn't been a lot of special energy lately.
No.
Like what was the last special energy outside of an ace spec?
We did get ignition energy, which is coming out at
Yeah.
some point. Um, outside of that, though, it's
There's not a lot.
been yeah, you're right. It's mostly been A specs or like boomerang energy, like really weird
Yeah.
niche effect energy. So I think that to your point, we're probably due for some good special energy reprints. And the thing I'm really looking forward to, like, there's almost always every time there's almost always a uh, double colorless type energy in the format. And the fact that we haven't had something like that now for a few sets feels weird.
Since Arceus rotated.
Right, exactly. So since this last
Yeah, so
rotation, we've lost double turbo, but I do
yeah.
think that they'll probably give us another double colorless of some kind. Maybe it will reduce the attack. Maybe it will only be usable by non rule box. Maybe it'll just be a straight double colorless reprint. Who knows?
I don't think a straight up I think it has to have some sort of setback,
It might. Yeah.
please. But I do agree to your point to where, like, there's the door is open for a couple different possibilities.
But yeah, that is Mega Evolution. As Jake and I were saying, I think there's some interesting ideas and some clearly like some cool decks that are going to come out of this. But my big takeaway, I think it's a strange base set.
I
Very
agree.
strange. So,
I think it's strange, but we'll see as time goes on because as always, especially with the rotation and stuff, new or some of those old cards just kind of get revamped, put in. I mean, Reggie Drago wasn't good until the end of its era,
true.
basically. So you never know exactly what's coming. Sean, would you be interested during the NBA season to have a Metapod fantasy basketball league?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Because so for anyone who this is we're done with the episode basically. No more Pokemon talk really. But uh so I used to work in sports, and when I started working in sports, I stopped paying attention to sports outside of work, and that's one of the reasons why I got so heavily invested in the card games because, like I don't want to think about one thing all the time. Similar to how I don't think about card games all the time, even though it's a lot. Uh, I don't think about it all the time. So I've started getting back into sports and watching sports and enjoying it from a casual perspective. And I spontaneously last week joined a random fantasy football league because
Hmm.
this week or this past weekend, I guess, after the episode airs, is week one of the NFL. And so I thought it'd be cool as I have my fantasy football, matchup here just to look at throughout the day. I was like, it'd be kind of cool if we had like a Metapod league. That would be nice. So I'll
I like
probably
that.
ping people in the Discord when the NBA season comes around. But let us know in the official Discord server that you can find in the link the below and stuff like that. We'd have to find out how to get a lot of people in it if a lot of people are interested
I
in
think we would
joining.
just I'm gonna be honest, I think we just have to do a first come first serve, and it's just like
Yeah, it
hop in the
might just have to be
Discord and
that,
it just is because
like,
usually
here's
there's
the
like what
link,
16
who joins?
teams. There's usually like what 12 to
Yeah, I
16
think you can
teams.
well, you can have it I think there's different I don't know, because it's been a long time since
Yeah.
I've really thought about fantasy football or fantasy sports in general, but I think there's a lot of different ways to where you can just have a lot of people. And there's even I think there's some things where you could do like we could even do it in a way to where like if we had like 50 people, probably a little bit too big for a league, but it could be like a pick'em system to where like everybody picks like a player for the week or a set of players for the week and then it's based on those points and that's the winner for the week, in these matches. We could do some creative things. I don't
Yeah.
know. Hmm.
Hey, I'm
Could be
down.
cool,
I'm
but
I'm not gonna lie, Jake. I back in the day, back when I was in high school, I did win 3 different fantasy basketball leagues, and I've won
oh
three
no,
to four fantasy football
when
leagues.
I in high school, so, uh, when towards my later years of high school, we that was the introduction of, like, computers
Hmm.
during class and stuff. God, I sound so old. My birthday is in a
Hey,
couple weeks.
we didn't really have computers in class when I was in high school at all. So for what that's worth.
But so at that age, when you're, like, junior, senior in high school, you start to have, like, the senioritis effect,
Hmm.
and so combo that with a computer that can go to ESPN. I heavily invested during class. Hopefully, my mom never hears this. I heavily invested into fantasy football, basketball. I joined fantasy soccer. I
Oh
did
boy.
baseball, obviously. I did hockey. Like, I did all the fantasy sports.
Is there a
And
fantasy swimming, Jake? Because I know you were a collegiate swimmer.
you can you can do that. It's just really hard to organize.
Sure. Who
And there's
wants
not
to
a lot
join
of
that? I
interest
only know
in it.
two swimmers. What am I going to do?
But so I loved doing it, and I think my fantasy football team is pretty cracked actually. This league that I have. So
Well, I,
I
I
would
didn't
love
get the
to.
number one pick in my league. You know,
I got the
I got
number
lucky. That
3
was just
pick, but according to the prediction, I have a 84% chance right now to win my week. And we're recording this at like
midday Sunday.
uh midday Sunday, so there's still Sunday night and Monday night football to go.
It's true.
I got a pretty cool team. So, anyways, but yeah, just let us know in the Discord. Let me know specifically if you would like to join a Metapod fantasy basketball league. Anyways, that's going to be it for the Metapod. No more delaying and stalling and whatnot. But I'm Jake, that's Sean. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you later.